Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. Happy New Year to you. In boxing, you find a way to win or you find a way to lose. Make sure you leave that donation for that fried rice, chicken wings, and wonton soup. Now look, man. Jermell Charlo says 2025 is going to be his year. And he's back, baby. But I'm going to tell you this. Glad to see him back. But a lot of times with these lion-only boys, they don't really want to take tune-ups, especially Earl Spence. They want to come back after the spell of inactivity and jump headfirst into the fire. And I'm going to tell you right now for Jermell Charlo, do not do that. Man, there's some killers out here. 154 is a dangerous, dangerous division. But who knows? Maybe he goes to 160 and he figures something out right there. But I'm going to tell you right now, even at 160, there's some killers at 160 who've been active. Eubank Jr. and Charlo will be interesting. I'm not so sure Charlo beats him. Hamza Shiraz, tough outing for a comeback fight. Alan Canelo, let's not even talk about that, okay? But what I will tell you is, Jermell Charlo hasn't boxed since he lost to Canelo Alvarez. He didn't get beat down or nothing like that. He just never really gave himself a chance after jumping up 2 weight divisions to win the fight. But you kind of understand, because when you get hit with what he got hit with, especially when he said, now these are his words, I've been boxing my whole life. I've never been hurt. I've been hit with good shots, but I've never been hurt or buzzed ever in the ring. And when Canelo hit him, he said it was the first time in his ever that he actually felt buzzed. So for him to experience that in the biggest fight of his life, there's a lot that's going on, because he's like, man, I didn't like that. I don't want to get hit with that again. And the only way to avoid getting hit with that, because Canelo's cutting that ring off and putting that pressure on him, is for him to, feet don't fail me now. Batty, 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 and go all gas, no brakes, and turn into a boxer runner. And that's what he did the rest of the fight. But as a result, look, man, I just think that one-sided unanimous decision to Canelo, it caused some of the boxing fans to forget just what Jermell Charlo was at 154 pounds. Now, if he has the chance to return to 154, I think, because if not 160, if it's 154, you may say, okay, well, who should he fight? I'm thinking right now, because a lot of people are just remembering that Canelo fight, and they forgot of the work he did at 154 to become undisputed. He earned that distinction. But right now, if he's going to return to boxing and go to 154, I'm thinking as a comeback fight, maybe Tzsyu. Now, we all know they were supposed to fight at a point in time, and Charlo chose not to fight him, and Tzsyu was on a good win streak, knocking everybody out, and was looking invincible. But I think for Jermell Charlo, if he's going to come back, and if he can still make 154, fight Tzsyu. It's a big name. I don't think Tzsyu is the same. Ozzy, oi, oi, oi. Fundora, the cut above Tzsyu's head. You can see that obviously messing with Tim mentally. So he's not really. Tim seems to be more worried now about getting cut than really trying to be smart in the ring. It's almost like he just wants to end the fight. And the reason I say that is because when he fought Murtazaliev, which was another guy that Jermell Charlo was supposed to fight and chose not to fight him, Tzsyu came out in that fight, and there's several things that I noticed about Tzsyu. One, as soon as he got hit on top of the head, or they bumped heads, he immediately reached to the top of his head with his glove, pawing at the top of his head to see if there was blood. So he thought the cut had been reopened. So that told me, man, he's worried about that cut. The second thing I said, Tim is trying to please the fans. He's trying to put on a show. He's not really thinking in there. He's just more concerned about what the fans are going to think. He's fighting in the United States. Want to put on a good show. And the third thing that I notice is, as a result of him just trying to put on a good show, he chose to look for the knockout blow instead of putting on a good show using intelligence, boxing, brawling at times, being a power puncher at times, being a counter puncher at times, possibly, using a lot of footwork and ring generalship, just fighting smart because Murtazaliev was a big, strong guy. As a result, Tzsyu got hurt pretty bad in that fight. It was actually pretty violent what Tzsyu put himself through. And to see he got back up and was going to go back out there again, I think he would have got killed. Like Murtazaliev was hitting him with the bings. But when you come full circle to where we are now, as far as Tzsyu and Jermell Charlo, I think that's the perfect comeback fight for Jermell. Tzsyu's name still rings bells. Jermell Charlo's name rings bells. And he come back to where they were initially. Jermell and Tzsyu supposed to fight for the undisputed distinction. It just never happened. Even though Jermell was already undisputed, and then Tzsyu picked up a belt along the way. But anyway, we'll see what happens going forward, man. Because I don't know about this PBC stuff. I'll be honest with you. You get some people who they live and breathe Al Heyman, PBC, the ups and downs of PBC. But what I will tell you is something's going on because them PBC fighters ain't fighting. And I've heard everything you guys have heard about PBC. Or Al Heyman's sick, or there's no money, or he blew the money, or nobody wants to work with him. I've heard all kind of stuff, man. All I'll tell you is, just from what I'm seeing, because I don't know what is the truth, I just know there's not a lot of activity from PBC fighters. But I do think PBC, no matter how inactive their fighters are, they still choose to make their fighters a priority. And case in point is when Tzsyu was coming over here to fight, they slipped Fundora in as a replacement opponent, and Tzsyu had to fight Fundora. And, we saw how that fight went. It was very competitive, but once Tzsyu got the cut above his head, Fundora actually chose to fight in many spots, tall and long, and made it a bit tough for Tzsyu to get to him. But that being said, going forward, PBC, no matter how inactive their fighters are, they still tend to look after their fighters. So if Tzsyu's smart, and if they come to him and say, hey, look, we're going to, how about you fight Jermell Charlo? Hopefully Tzsyu takes a step back and says, you fooled me once, shame on me. Or shame on you. If you fooled me twice, then shame on me. And I think he should know not to allow himself to get jerked another time. They got him with Fundora. Murtazaliev got him. And then this third fight with Jermell Charlo. 3 strikes and you out, baby. So I think Tzsyu needs to be very careful about messing with Jermell Charlo. But anyway, when it comes to Jermell, 154 I think is the weight division he should bubble up at. But I don't. This whole thing about him going to 160 and facing Lara and facing Alam Kanuli and facing Eubank Jr. and Hamza Shiraz, I just think you guys need to just hold your horses. If something like that happened, I don't know. I just think Charlo's going to have another hand injury and pull out the fight, because I think at some point somebody with some sense is going to get to him and they're going to say, hey, look, that's not the fight you want in a comeback fight at all. But, hey, he may want to go directly at somebody at 154. Who knows? Him and Crawford's a big fight. I don't know if Crawford wants that fight anymore. Crawford has said he doesn't want it. Crawford's after Canelo, but I'm just trying to think of what his options are, because Earl Spence and him, I don't know what their relationship is, but they always said, brothers break bread. So maybe he'll fight Earl Spence if Earl Spence can get past Fundora. But I don't know. But out of all the guys at 154, the one person who concerns me the most for Jermell Charlo, it's probably Murtazaliev, man. I ain't gonna lie. Murtazaliev, he got that IBF belt. maybe Jermell wants to come back and start recollecting his hardware and shit, reacquiring his hardware. But man, he'd have to have a career best performance, in my opinion, to beat Murtazaliev. I'm just being honest with you, and I don't think this is the right time for Charlo, man. But if he can get the job done, then good for him. But when you make $20 million, like his last fight against Canelo, I was telling people he made like $20 million, a little bit more than $20 million. And people were like, oh no, he only made like $4 or $5 million. Like really want to argue with me. On this channel, I don't argue with no one. Okay, rocket scientist, you know better than me. You're going to sit here and tell me a guy like Jermell Charlo, undisputed, right, who's making more than $4 or $5 million a fight, going to get a fight with Canelo, and he's going to go up to weight division to fight Canelo, arguably, to many people, the best fighter in boxing right now, and is only going to take $4 or $5 million. Come on now, man. The man made $20 million, and that's what's now being reported. But I had caught wind of that before anyway. So anyway, I don't know, man. He may have, like they say, the silk pajama syndrome, man. You know what I'm saying? But I think the 2025 would be perfect for Jermell Charlo to possibly fight Tzsyu. I think Crawford. I think Earl Spence. I think those are good fights for him. Tzsyu, then go fight his stablemate, because Tzsyu's gonna make big money. His stablemate former stablemate Earl Spence will make huge money, especially if he fought in Texas, and then fight Crawford if Crawford's still around. But I think those are three big fights that can put him back on the map and put big money in his pocket. I think he beats Tzsyu right now. I think he beats Earl Spence. I don't know about Crawford. We just have to see, because Crawford ain't getting no younger, but Crawford can fight. We just have to wait and see how that fight goes. But I think those are three outstanding fights for him, and that's the order of progression that I would orchestrate for him, starting off the beginning of the year and ending the beginning of the year on. But I just think critics are always going to be critics, no matter what he does, and it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? Because he has all kind of fights in front of him. Jermell Charlo is still the big dog at 154. Nobody at 154 beat him. I think people forget that too. Nobody beat him at 154, and the way he was looking, it didn't look like anybody was going to beat him anytime soon. And so he went up there messing with Canelo, daring to be great, and what happened happened. So put some respect on his name, but he's back in 2025. But I think he should take a warm-up. If he's not going to take a warm-up fight against a kind of unknown fighter and he wants to take on somebody with a big name, go after Tzsyu. Go after Tzsyu. He's a big name. Looked like he could be a bit damaged, hurt badly by that cut on his head, hurt badly by Murtazaliev. When you get beat like that in a fight, a lot of time that fight takes a pound of flesh out of you. I personally think Tzsyu had a pound of flesh taken out of him when he faced Murtazaliev, and also think that war with Fundora took something out of him too. That being said, I don't think Tzsyu is the same fighter. I think he loses to Jermell Charlo. And again, I like Tzsyu. Aussie, oi. I'm just being real with you. I think Tzsyu, man, that what Murtazaliev did to him was crazy. Crazy. Anyway, we'll see what happens with these guys. Jermell Charlo faced Tzsyu, bang with Earl Spence, and try to crack the code on Terrence Crawford. I don't think it's going to be that easy, but I think those are perfect fights for him. Y'all keep cool. Shout out to the veterans, all 7 continents. In the breeze.